Hello. Hi, everyone. Hello. Good morning. Queen of Swords. Interesting. Well, here I am. I just got the Tea Leaf Oracle. I keep on calling them Tea Leaf Oracle cards, Tea Leaf Fortune cards. Not the Two of Swords, is it? And they're from U.S. Games or something. And the Pride Tarot is also from. Oh, now the Sun is there with the Two of Swords, though. And I just wanted to, I don't know, pull these together to see what's up. Now, Temperance is there with the Sun. I think some things I've noticed in my own personal life, some things have changed. Some things have shifted, almost like courses being rewritten. Fate has been redetermined or reassigned. And perseverance almost lies at the heart of it. And of course, I'm not going to say anything. But I guess I'm glad I was patient. I mean, it's not like I could be much of anything else. Well, I could have been a lot of other things, but, you know, hey, it's cute. I like it. I'm a fan. The Five of Wands with the Two of Swords again at the bottom of the deck. Okay. I'm just going to put these here for now. I'm going to keep going. Oh, goodness. No, this deck is difficult to shuffle for me, so. Maybe that's what the mixing bag is for. Maybe I should try it. Well, I just put it in the bag and shake them up. See, but I don't want my cards to get bent. Oh, the Man. Okay. A man and a kite. So that's Benjamin Franklin energy. Oh, we saw the kite on here. Okay, well, the hand. Let's see. All right, so I'll look at all these later. So the Man and the kite. The man is dealings or relationship with a man. The kite is vacation. Oh, I love vacation energy. So with the Five of Wands and the Two of Swords being the man and the kite, this could be dealings with masculine energy and an opportunity to step away from the more contentious side of masculine energy, from the power struggle, from the ego, from the need to prove and be right. It's a space where conversations can be had and understanding can be exchanged and improved upon. The hand, it says, in need of help, assistance, and guidance. And I got like a palmistry, I believe that's the word, type of feeling, like palm reading. Because I was talking about like fate being rewritten and things like that. And I remember one time there was like a crease or a line that showed up on one of my friends' hands. I was like, oh, what does that mean? I was like, was that there before? He was like, no. And it was pretty noticeable. But it speaks of interference, which is the Two of Swords and the Five of Wands, of like a referee type of energy. Like an armistice. Okay. The astral house is the house of love. Okay. With the elephant, a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. Related to the element of love. The weeping willow, family sorrow. The crown, honor and respect will come to you. And the fox, shrewdness and resourcefulness, especially in business. So we have love and finances and at the top and bottom. With the elephant, family sorrow, and the crown in between. It feels like there's an opening, but it needs to be stretched. Like there's a pinpoint of calm in the middle of a storm and an opportunity to expand that eye out. But it isn't done alone. And it feels like almost like divine intervention that's coming in and putting a pause to something before it continues to escalate. It's a moment for us to make a decision, to continue along one path or to move forward in a different direction. And I feel like both paths end. One ends in a transition into something brand new, and the other ends in something else. Okay, I'm going to leave this here, and then we'll move on to the next thing. And then I'll probably call it, this doesn't need to be extremely long. It's almost like there's a moment to be like, is this something that I really want to say or do? Like, is this something that I'm saying or doing because I'm upset in the moment and I want to basically react from that upset space? Or is this a moment where we stop, take pause, collect ourselves, and we show up in a way that gets us where we want to be? It's like a moment of true honesty that goes beyond the feelings of the moment. Because it feels like the feelings of the moment, it's the result of something unspoken. But it's not necessarily true or false, I guess. Okay. What else we get? This one, I'm going to do the other way. I'll pull these first and then clarify with the Pride Tarot. And I love that both of these are black and white, but this one has more color in it. And again, that's the divine bringing, it feels like divine intervention. It feels like a moment of pause for us to like get clarity. And it's an opportunity for us to make the choices and the decisions that we want to make rather than the choices and the decisions that we're in the habit and pattern of making. But again, like the color is outside of the Two of Swords. The ants. I just saw, I was playing Animal Crossing and I got an ant the other day because I left some turnips out, so I get an ant. And it said that like ants are one of the strongest creatures in the world, if not the strongest. Like they can lift up to, was it like 10 times or 50 times their body weight or something like that. And whenever something is too big for them to carry alone, then that's when they call in the other ants to help them out. Bottom of the deck is the heart. Love, deep affection, and caring. There's that. Fame again. The heart and the crown. The ant is work, achievement, and success in matters related to the heart. And maybe that's something over here. It's like this energy of something that we can't do alone. And that we don't have to do alone. But it requires honesty and authenticity and truth. And honesty, authenticity, and truth, again, beyond the feelings of the moment. And it's not that there isn't truth in those feelings of the moment. But it's like what lies deeper. What's most in or on the heart. Okay. Community again is also, there's an importance here, but community doesn't only have to be physical. It can also be spiritual. But when one ant calls in other ants, like every ant is doing their part. It's not that like that ant gets to not do anything because all the other ants are going to do everything. Like that's not necessarily the case. It requires everyone being in their heart and doing their part. And that's where these ties deepen. That's where the real strength comes to the surface. That's where the light shines and shows. And that's what illuminates the path forward. Okay. Can I get like something? Not like 15 cards, like maybe 2 or 3 at the most. I'm just gonna keep shuffling until it comes up. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Cups. Pre-High Priestess energy. We know something, but we don't know everything. We know what we need to know to move forward. Now, the Hierophant, the messenger coming out here, is very interesting because we see this one on a podium speaking. In this one, the context here isn't necessarily religious. I'm actually going to read this out of the book because I really like this one. I might have to switch over to my other glasses. Ooh, excuse me. Yup, where my other pair of glasses at? Here they are. I could pull it up on my phone, but excuse me. Okay, let's try this. The messenger. Okay. So, the messenger card portrays Geneset Gutierrez, an activist for transgender rights and immigrant protection. She is the founding member of La Familia, trans queer liberation movement. The messenger articulates 3 levels of consciousness. The physical plane, where you interact with the ideas, culture, language, and people who surround you. The astral plane, where transitional energies and the spirits of your ancestors reside. And the institutionalized plane, where your hopes, fears, and values are prescribed by authority figures. fears. The messenger asks you to question those foundations that are based on fear and submission. She asks you to run between physical and astral planes, questioning the roots of the situation and excavating the parts of it that keep you sound and allow you to breathe, the parts that rally your people and your connection to your community. The messenger asks you to lead by offering truth and elevating the voices of the unheard. So there's that truth and authenticity that we're leading with. I also like that it speaks to this on multiple levels, on many planes, which again is kind of sort of like beyond that plane of our hopes and our fears, beyond the transitional space, and even including the personal space. And there's this mixture of feelings and emotions and the mind and intellectualizations, I guess. There's this, the institutionalized plane, what has been established within us, predominantly by factors surrounding us, and also what has been practiced. Oh, well, there's the title card. So the title card with the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck. This to me, it reads like a knowing without any context why. And sometimes it's hard for us to trust or believe in something that we know to be true, but that we can't prove to be true. And what it does is it eats away at that knowing and it makes it less sure. And then that's where doubts and fears and insecurities and worries start to come in. And I don't think it is for those things to be absent. I think it's for those things to be brought up and addressed. There is an energy of avoidance here, but avoidance only keeps clarity from coming into the situation. And these two together reminds me of the story of the fox trying to get the mittens. There was like a young fox, and the mother fox had been attacked or something. And it was winter, it was cold, and she wanted to get some mittens for, the young fox, but she couldn't go into the village and get them herself. And no, what? No, wait. No. It was wintertime. I think the mother was injured, and the young fox had to go into the town, maybe to get some food, to get something to keep them sustained. Had to go into town to sustain themselves in some way. And she gave the young fox mittens to hide his paws. She also gave the young fox some money. And she told the young fox not to be discovered, because if he was, the way humans treat foxes, they wouldn't be able to get what they needed. And so he went somewhere and he knocked on the door and he forgot to wear his mittens. And he presented the money and he asked for whatever they needed, and the person on the other side gave it to him. Even without the fox wearing those mittens, they still received what they needed. And again, it speaks to, I don't know, it's like a time of hiding is coming to an end, of not addressing, of suppressing self. of chasing after things that don't mean anything to us as individuals, that don't personally fulfill us. And so we're never fulfilled and we're always looking. And the elephant says that it's a long journey. The crown says that there's respect that awaits us at the end. The weeping willow was telling us that we don't necessarily have an example to follow to get where it is that we're going. But the fox is asking us to be resourceful and a little shrewd. Oh, the man in the kite in the hand. This could be like us reaching up to the divine. The man in the sky that lives within all of us. And it does remind me of Planet Terror. When Pam was like, when you're in trouble and you don't know what to do, just reach up. And so there is an element, I think, of humility that also needs to come here. There's a very Five of Pentacles energy that we're coming out of. And the Five of Pentacles is the Five of Pentacles because it doesn't ask when it needs. It's typically depicted as uh, a hard on their luck or down on their luck, hard times couple outside of a church. But if they knocked on the doors of the church and asked for what they needed, the church would provide. But sometimes maybe, I don't know, it feels like there's not going to be any acceptance there. But the fox was too young to know why he needed the mittens in the first place. Turns out he didn't. I think a lot of times there are certain things that we hide, that we keep in the back, that don't see the light, so that when we go to the light, all it does is it emphasizes that shadow. It increases the disparity between what is seen and what is shown and what is not. And it makes it that much darker. In the heart, it's asking for or demanding in some ways to move forward, to expand that eye. That the heart and that authenticity and that truth and that willingness and openness and vulnerability exists on every level within us. And sometimes it feels like we try to go higher and higher and higher to escape what it is right here and right now. And I personally don't think that that is the solution. Because if you don't address what's in front of you, it's going to remain. All right. It feels like there's a lot to prove here. Or there could be a lot. But the Queen of Cups could also just trust and know and live and experience and then discover why. Because that part of the process is also important. It's like sometimes in life we have a feeling of where we're going, or we know where we're going to end up, but we don't know how we're going to get there. And sometimes we take that to be that we don't have to do anything to get there and we'll just get it, it'll just come. Oftentimes that's not the case. And so then we ask the divine why it is that we missed out on something that we were told was for us. But we may not necessarily hear the divine when they ask us, why did we not do what we needed to do to get there? To do that, to be that, to receive that. And again, that's that ant energy where we sort of separate ourselves from the collective and we demand that the collective does all the work while we do nothing or we do very little. And what happens is problems exacerbate. And the pandemic is, especially in the US, it's a very good example of that. I just read that people, unfortunately, are dying in LA because they don't have any more beds. And there are so many people out there who aren't doing what it is that they could be doing to help slow the spread. It's like if we max out our resources before we have an understanding, before we have an ability to combat or at least mitigate, then this is the unfortunate consequence. And a lot of times people don't believe it until it happens to them personally. And what I personally believe is something doesn't happen on this scale without the permission of the divine. I'm not saying that God is punishing us for whatever, but what I am saying is like we've seen that God flooded the earth in Noah's Ark, the different stories, Sodom and Gomorrah, Pompeii erupted, right, in real life. Now I don't know if God was like, "Hey, get on the boat and get out of Pompeii because that mountain is actually a volcano and it's about to go up." Nobody was prepared for Pompeii. That's why, they find him encased in the soot, perfectly preserved, all this time later. The time to prepare is not when it's already ravaging your own home. We got plenty of warning. And we chose who we would listen to and who we would follow. But again, in my mind, nothing happens on this scale without the permission of the divine. And the divine is not the type to do like false warnings, I believe. It's like the divine is not warning you for no reason. But you can choose to not listen and you can choose to not believe. Was there another agenda with this? Sure. Does it matter? In my opinion, no. Because at the end of the day, you still have to do what you have to do. And anybody can take advantage of a situation and spin it into something that it isn't for their own agenda. But that doesn't mean that the situation isn't happening. And it's unfortunate that even in other ways outside of the pandemic, that we as a people, it seems that we can't believe the experiences of other people, or we don't give credence or weight or value to the experiences and stories of other people until it happens to us. But by that time, again, it's too late. No one did anything before it came to your door. So if we had done something before, the problem would have been taken care of. But I believe there is a way out. Something will happen and change. Unfortunately, not everyone is going to live to see it. I might not even live to see it. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. And I've seen enough people who didn't believe in it until they were personally affected by it. But it was real before then. I don't know. In my mind, and I guess it also makes me wonder, like, how powerful people think shadow energy or devil energy is. That something like this could happen and it's not like, and it's, I don't know. But the floods, fire and brimstone, It always happened for a reason in the Bible. And the pandemic, if it didn't happen for a reason, it's most definitely in conjunction with a lot of other things happening, bringing a lot of things to light, things that we could have been solved and addressed a long time ago. Even within this space, we can see how resource allocation is still disproportionately going to things that hurt, harm, or preserve things that hurt and harm or create disparity, instead of those resources going to bolstering and supporting the things that can sustain life and give us a fighting chance. It's illuminating a lot. And maybe that's the part where the divine is like, they need these things to be known because humanity cannot continue the way it's going. And a lot of it's these hearts that are just absent. If your heart is only on for people who look like you or people who are directly related to you, that's not there. It's like, oh, they're a good person outside of, this, and that. And it's like, okay, well, how good of a person are they really? Some people don't even like their own. So I guess, it's something, but still. And then it's like, as long as religion and spirituality and things of that nature has been on this planet, you just think that there would be a little bit more love. Enough love to listen to someone who was hurting and to want to do something instead of having an attitude of, that's not my experience. I don't believe you. That doesn't affect me. I don't care. I'd rather go with what makes me money or what saves me money. And it's like, you can not be a bad person, but if you care more about your finances than the life of another and of many others, then like, how good are you really? Maybe that's why the love of money is the root of all evil. And we've seen the love of money doing a lot of things here lately, especially in the US, haven't we? But Uranus is in Taurus right now. That's where the money is. That's changing. Pluto is in Capricorn. So that Scorpionic energy in Capricorn. Scorpio, 8th house being collective money, taxes, and more communal things. The ruler of that being in Capricorn, putting pressure on the very foundations of the systems themselves. And that sextile, that opportunity between Capricorn and Scorpio, the trine to Uranus, now Mars in Taurus, the ruler of Scorpio, traditional. So the traditional ruler, before I think it's only going to be in Taurus for like 2 months, Mars. So the traditional ruler is going to be trining the modern ruler, Taurus and Capricorn and Earth. Jupiter and Saturn just entered Aquarius air. And I don't know, it's interesting to me that we look at the age of Aquarius as what it is. And we're in the age of, or we're coming out of the age of Pisces or whatever, moving out of these Earth, Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions that we've been in for a while, since the start of the Industrial Revolution, people have said. And again, it's like we look at these transitional periods and energies as cure-alls, as if that itself is going to solve everything, but that's not the case. And I think proof enough that an energy and a shift and change in energy doesn't solve everything is like, we can literally look at the age of Pisces. Spirituality and religion has been around forever. And a lot of them tell us to love each other. And a lot of them don't put stipulations and conditions on the love that we're supposed to have for one another. But somehow humanity has taken that love and twisted it and warped it into all of the wars, all of the like disparities between different religious groups and beliefs committed in the names of this God and that God, when they all tell you to love each other. But, a sudden transition into a new energy or a new level of consciousness is going to solve everything. I don't think so. Hey, Soul Walker 77. I don't know how long you've been here because I haven't been looking at my screen. But hi. It's just like the life that we're living already is proof enough. We already have the resources to make our lives a lot better than what they are, to feed more people, to house more people, but we're not using it. We're not doing anything with it. We're not making those choices and decisions. So it takes more than just a planet moving into a different sign or a conjunction or a trine happening in a different sign. Earth is a planet of free will, choice, and decision. And we see those play out. Maybe that's, the credit that the diversity on this planet has, is because we're all making different choices and decisions. But the ones that we make most consistently, collectively, become our shared reality. And it's a lot of people versus and against a lot of other people. A lot of people acting in self-interest, or their service and their love for others stop at their own personal wealth and fulfillment and happiness. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice your own happiness to make someone else happy, because happiness and love and compassion should be those things that we share communally, that build upon each other and expand as we share and partake in them. But again, when it hits the bottom dollar, it's always me against you. So are we surprised that things have ended up where they are? That me against you has superseded all religions and spiritual teachings, it seems like and sounds like. And moving from conjunctions in earth to conjunctions in air, where the energy is a lot more fluid, it's a lot less visible and tangible. Like if the heart doesn't improve, like I don't even want to know what the world is going to look like. Like if we came into nuclear weapons in the age of Pisces, and when we were in these earth conjunctions and we had those few tragedies with nuclear weapons, like I don't want to even know where the ingenuity of man can take us in an age of air where there still is no heart. But I believe we'll get it together. I believe we'll figure it out because we have to. Number one, I mean, it's like not going to be much life on the planet if we continue the way we're going. Hey, look, there's a hangman. When I opened up the book, I opened it to the hangman. The hangman has the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and also has the Orphic egg. The Orphic egg is what it like represents all elements. The only element missing is the element of life, but a fertilized egg has that element in it. The shell is earth, the membrane is air, the yolk is fire, and the white is water. And then also the hangman holding on to the fruit that symbolizes the knowledge of how to use all that in like cordant ways as well as discordant ways, in harmonizing ways as well as in disharmonizing ways. And the solution to our problem isn't always throwing everything out. Sometimes it's using it in a different application. Just because we've only experienced it and seen it used for evil and for the expansion of dominion and things like that does not mean that that's not the only thing or the only way in which it can be used. Like I personally Like in my mind, government isn't inherently bad. And a lot of times government is a reflection of the people. And if we didn't see that before, we can most definitely see it now. But again, like government in and of itself is not bad. Like I feel like there's always going to be some system of leadership, like different castes and roles in society. And it in and of itself is not bad, but it's how we treat people across those different castes and how we value people that like really speaks to what we've come to see and view all of the bad as. Like there are going to be people who specialize in things. There are going to be people who specialize in other things. Even if we go back to hunting and gathering, right? There's going to be the hunter gatherers, and then there are going to be the people who stay in the village. And they're both probably, if they're not appreciated, going to be in a position of, well, I go out and I hunt and I gather and I bring food to the village. And if it weren't for me, we'd all starve. And then the people in the village is like, okay, but if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't be a village to feed. Who do you think is keeping and maintaining your stuff, your property, your children, your lives while you're out doing what you need to do for us? It's us. Ace of Swords, though, I mean, this Ace of I when I look at Ace of Swords cards, I like to see where the crown is in relation to the hilt of the sword, because for me, it gives us an idea of how far the information is from our ability to grasp it. Here, it's pretty far, you know. It's just I don't know. It's a little sad. I think that everything that is like, and within the past year in particular, as more and more people are talking about the age of Aquarius and how bad the age of Pisces is, and I start looking at the age of Pisces, and I'm like, well, you know, it in theory, the age of Pisces could have been like a golden age for humanity when we're all taught to love and respect each other and to be kind and compassionate and to give when we can, where we can. Like that's what the teachings say, but that's not what we choose to do. So I don't think the blame is on the age and the teachings. But you know, it's easier for us to push off responsibility onto other things and systems and people. So my dad earlier, he was like, because we was talking. Oh, look, there's a hangman again. We were talking, and he was like, "Oh, your mom, she distracted me. She messed me up." And my mom was like, "How did I do that?" And he was like, "Well, I need somebody to blame." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, isn't that the way though? Isn't that how we react and respond to things? I need somebody to blame." You know, accountability stands at the gateway to us having the age of Aquarius experience that we want to have. And sometimes there are things that it's really difficult to try to take accountability and responsibility for, especially when we so actively ignored or discredited them, only to see the truth come out. And from a human perspective, sometimes it does kind of sort of feel like, you know, you want someone to take responsibility. But for me personally, at the end of the day, I just want for us to be open hearted, compassionate, caring, to take accountability for how we affect others, to be more conscious of how we affect others, and then to move forward in a way that gets us where we're going. It's less important to me that people like experience the pain that I've been through, and that people hurt in the ways that I hurt, and that people are disregarded and ignored the way that I was disregarded and ignored, because all that does is perpetrate and perpetuate a cycle that like I'd rather just get out of. Honestly, it's like, what's the point in that? What's the purpose? I don't need to sit at the top of this wheel now to feel whatever. I'd rather be off the wheel altogether and move on to something that, you know, I actually like, where we're all in a space of enjoyment. And again, like I understand feeling or wanting to feel some kind of karmic justice and retribution. And I think it's interesting that a lot of times we look at karma, it's the bad things that people have done to us, they then experience themselves. Because if that's what karma is, no wonder why we stay on the same cycles and we stay repeating the same patterns. Maybe that's why the wheel of fortune is the way that we interpret it. You're either at the top of the wheel or the bottom of the wheel. And if you're at the top of the wheel, you're going to be at the bottom. If you're at the bottom of the wheel, you're going to be at the top. And karma's just going to keep these same cycles playing over and over. So enjoy it while you're at the top. And if you're at the bottom, know that it won't last forever. But it's like, again, like I'd rather be done with this game altogether. I don't want to be at the top because I know what it feels like to be here. And I'm not interested in pushing my pain off on someone else. I don't know. That's just not me, though. I know a lot of people are like that. And again, I understand. There's that Two of Swords again. Bottom of the deck is the King of Cups. King of Cups is Scorpionic energy, and the King is below the ship. And I feel like this speaks to how we are so motivated by these deep emotional hidden things that maybe we ourselves don't even fully understand, because we don't give ourselves the time to process these, because we were so busy in our day-to-day lives, so busy running from and avoiding anything that we didn't like. And now that everything is stopping and slowing down, where we have to face some of these things, it's like, open it back up, open it back up. I can't deal. Open it back up. But when we solve these things, when we face these things, no matter how difficult, that's what stills the waters up above. That's what gives us smooth sailing. That's what puts us in the energy of ease and harmony and effort. It's not by avoiding the things that are difficult that we get there. It's about, you know, how we bring resolution to them. In fact, you know, this is the decision that we have to make with this hangman. And that's the thing about being human. Even when you know better, even when you know that you shouldn't do something or that you should do something, you still have to choose to do it. Like, that used to annoy me so much. I used to be like, I wish I could just know like where I was hurting or what was wrong, and that knowledge was enough to like just make the problem go away or disappear or solve it. And it's like, no, you still got to do something. Sorry. Not sorry though, because that's what actually puts you in that place of personal power, by you handling and addressing and bringing light to those things within you. Then when you do that, anything else you can handle. If you run and distract, all you're going to do is continue to run and distract. And if your power is one of evasion and distraction, I mean, I guess ninjas are cool, right? Ninjas have their place in the world somewhere, but you don't get any real forward movement with that. That's why they're delegated to the realms of shadow. I don't know. I mean, it's a choice that we all got to make ourselves. And I think what I've come to appreciate is that, like, all I have to do is make the choices and decisions in my own life to move and to be where I want to be. And it's not for lack of compassion or caring, but it's for an understanding of the fact that we all have our own choices and decisions and our own roles, and that's honored. And I'm glad that I guess my path and trajectory isn't dependent upon the choices and decisions of others. Because, I believe that what I do, it attracts into my reality and experience those who would also choose similar enough that the reality that we come into will lead us to that place of actual peace and prosperity and abundance for all. Not because we're ignoring the disparities, but because we're seeing, facing, and addressing them and bringing resolution to them. You don't, it's like, I don't know, you don't come more into the light by ignoring more of the shadow. All it does is it amplifies that polarity and that disparity between what is illuminated and what is not. It doesn't stop it or prevent it from happening. It kind of sort of bolsters it because it's in your sort of frame of reference, you're putting that more in the realm of shadow. So you're increasing the strength of that shadow by not facing things, by avoiding things, by running from things, giving it permission to happen without your purview. And it's like we say out of sight, out of mind, but maybe out of your mind on some conscious level, but subconsciously, we all know it's still there. We always know. Oh, look, the rainbow at the bottom of the deck. The rainbow actually came out on the new channel. I love this. Oops, it stayed on the table. Thank you, because I've like literally just got these, and ain't no way I'm counting out 200 cards. So can they all stay in the deck, please? The rainbow is the most difficult part of a situation is over. Oh, love that. And then we have the coins and the pail, the P-A-I-L pail. Ooh, but this pail is knocked over. Excuse me. Coin says money will be coming to you. Pail says time to get out of a situation. So money will be coming to you if you get out of the situation. And the hardest part of getting out of this is over. It's like everything that needed to be prepared and done is already prepared and done. All that is left is for you to choose and decide, what you're going to do. And to not go, getting mad at the divine or blaming the divine for things that you chose not to do in your own personal life and for things that you chose to ignore in your own personal life, for cycles that you chose to perpetuate. And it's like, girl, like, what do you think free will is? Like, what do you think choice is? And I understand, I get that a lot of times it feels like those choices are made for us when we only experience one side of the spectrum or when we only have one example. But there have always been people who go against the system. There have always been people who know within their hearts right from wrong and what is reprehensible and what an atrocity is, even if the majority is buying into whatever satiates and satisfies their personal drives, hungers, needs, or whatever keeps them from, accepting responsibility. Because again, it's easier to blame other people. And it's like, honestly, the things that we blame other people for, it's like, in what world? Like, again, talking about the US and, politics and stuff, that one person's politics is another person's real life actual experience. And that's wild in and of itself. That what is life or death for someone else can be politics for you. It's like, okay. And then, insert that lack, like, oh, I'm not into politics. Oh, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't affect me. Someone else is like, real life, and y'all supposed to be love and light and spiritual and whatever. But you don't even care about this. It's like, okay, well, I see what the depths of your love is, and I see what light you choose to shine on things. Unfortunately, that's not really helpful for where we're going, in my opinion, because it's a time of healing and addressing things, not continuing to, it's like putting the shadows back in the shadows and pretending like they never existed. Anyway, the way we talk about how, like, immigrants are stealing our jobs. But again, like, this is one of the things that blows my mind about Americans and just humanity in general. It's the fact that we know that more and more and more companies are and have been outsourcing a lot of work to other countries where they can do it for cheaper and where they don't have to have livable wages or safe working environments for the people that work there. They can cut corners, they can save pennies and dimes, but still charge you as much as they have been, if not more, for the same product that is like a fraction of the cost to make that it used to be. But again, since they can't treat you like actual garbage, they'll go and treat somebody else like actual garbage. We also know that a lot of things are being automated. A lot of things are being kind of sort of left behind because the times are changing. But instead of accepting like either of these things that we know, instead of holding the companies accountable and responsible for outsourcing their work, we choose to fall in line with the narrative that immigrants are stealing your jobs and stuff like that. And in my mind, like, again, like, that just it doesn't make sense. That we know that these are two actual legitimate things, but the blame and the scapegoating on this third group that is almost completely unrelated. And it's just like, but again, maybe it just goes to show how quick we are to hate or to put ourselves above somebody else. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It blows my mind. I legitimately don't understand it. But maybe there's nothing to understand. Maybe it's just as simple as, hey, this is what people already believe or want to believe anyway. This is what people are comfortable with accepting instead of, holding the people accountable who actually are like have some accountability in the situation. And it's like, oh, people are quick to hate anyway, so let's just put it on hate. Let's just push it on hate. Let's just push it on fear. Let's just push it on something else, and then people are like, oh no, sleep. That's not why. That's not why I blah 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 whatever. And it's like, okay, well, even if that's not why, you have absolutely no problem with buying into that narrative as long as it saves you a dollar. And that's absolutely tragic to me. And we're supposed to be going into the age of Aquarius with that energy, not actually changing that sentiment, not doing anything to solve any of that. It's just like, nope, age of Aquarius. Into the age of Aquarius we go. It's like when someone moves to a new city or a new state, or they go somewhere to get a fresh start, but things fall apart just like they did because they have the same vices, same pitfalls, same traps that they never did anything to address. So they attract the same situations and they make the same decisions and they end up in the same position. And then they go somewhere else and start all over and do it all over again, expecting a different result. That is madness. All right. Well, I didn't necessarily think it would go here, but it went there. This is who I am now, and it's cool. I'm fine with being this and talking like this until we are more on the other side of this. And if I'm not fun or whatever, and just chill until again we're on the further on the other side of this, then that's cool. Because I don't know, I'm not complacent in my own life anymore. I handle and deal with and address the things in my life, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable they are. Because ignoring the discomfort doesn't make it any easier. Working through it makes it infinitesimally easier. Easier to the point where there's a lot of things that I'm not even concerned with that used to be like, oh my gosh. And like, if y'all have seen me on my channel throughout the year plus that I've been uploading things like this, for like, y'all probably see a few of the different ways that I've grown. And again, it's just like when you actually work through things, the things become lesser issues to the point of being non-issues. I don't know. All right. Well, I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I love you all so very much, and I wish and pray and hope that you make the choices and decisions and you face the things that you need to face in your own life to make your life better. That you don't sit around and wait for things to just resolve themselves, or that you don't push the responsibility of your own work and growth and healing onto something or someone else. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, while you may have some marginal healing and comfort and ease, it can only get you so far, and it only does so much. And with free will, you have to use your will to actually do things and to actually navigate. Like, even if you call on spirit can only do so much. And it seems like what spirit will do most of the time is give you the opportunities to heal, give you the opportunities to prove to yourself that you've healed, and bring things to your awareness for you to solve and work through. Because if the underlying isn't solved, then it's like cutting off a weed at the top, but never pulling the roots of the weed out of the soil, so it just keeps growing back. And then sometimes it seems like the more you cut it, the faster it grows back. And it's like, oh, why can't I get rid of these weeds? I keep cutting them. And it's like, whoa, like, why aren't you pulling the weeds up by the root? Like, they're going to continue to grow until you do that. And they're proliferating underground at the same time, but you're only cutting what's on the surface. So maybe that's why you're getting more of them and they're coming back quicker. We actually got to go down and do that stuff. And now is a period and a time where we're going to be coming into going down to the root of different systems and fixing at the root those disparities and those issues that keep leading us to these same positions. And in my mind, again, it's like, how, I mean, I guess I understand it, but it's like, how do